Hello everyone. So this video is for all my students that cannot come to class right now for uh, whatever reason. We're going to be learning about the distance formula, which we'll get to in probably the next video. Right now though, we're just going to do a review of distance. So the distance between 3 and 10. How far is that? Well, it's just going to be 7. This is between -7 and 5. That's going to be 12. And then the distance between -9 and -3 is going to be 6. Now, how do we get those numbers? Well, a lot of people just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That works just fine as long as the numbers are small. -7 to 5, we can count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And the same thing from -9 to -3. That works. But if I said, what's the distance between -117 on a number line and 2,461, counting's not going to be the best approach there. Or if I said, what's the distance between -1.4 and 5.286. It's going to be really hard to count between those two numbers. So what can we do instead? Well, if you look at this, some of you are probably recognizing, well, 3 and 10, how do I get 7 from that? I can get it by subtracting. So I can go 10 minus 3. Down here, I could do 5 minus -7. I could do -9 minus -3. Now some of the smart students are going to say, Mr. Kuhne, -9 minus -3, that's actually -6, Mr. Kuhne. It's not 6. And you are correct. Because what we actually need to do, because distance is always positive, we're going to throw some absolute values around these. Absolute value of -6 is 6. So in words, how can we explain how you can find the distance? Well, we could just count option 1, and I absolutely support counting whenever possible. Just count it if that's the easiest. However, if that doesn't work, we can subtract the two numbers and take the absolute value. Just like that. Alright, next, quick review of Pythagorean theorem. Pythagorean theorem, of course, the most famous theorem out there. A squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is always the hypotenuse. These, it doesn't matter which one we put in there, so I'm going to put in 3 there. 3 squared, 4 squared equals c squared. 3 squared, of course, is 9. 4 squared, of course, is 16. That's c squared. 9 plus 16 is 25. Now, as a reminder to ourselves, c squared means what number times itself. C times c. Now, this is going to be 5 times 5. C equals 5. In algebra terms, what do we do? How do I go from c squared to just c there? I take the square root of both sides. Down here, doing the same thing. 2 squared plus 4 squared equals c squared. Actually, I'm going to use a different letter. We're just going to call it d, because why not? I can call it d. I can call it any letter I want to. 2 squared is 4. 4 squared is 16. Add those together, that'll give you 20 is d squared. So d is going to be, if I take the square root of both sides, d is the square root of 20. Now, some of you want to reduce that. That's perfectly fine. How do I reduce that? You can plug into a calculator and get approximately 4.47, or some of you do the factor tree where you say 20 divided by 2 is 2 and 10, and you get 2 and 5. I prefer this method. I know 4 is a perfect square. Square root of 4 times the square root of 5. Now, what is the square root of 4? That's just 2. I can't take the square root of 5 perfectly, so I just leave it like that. All three of these are the exact same thing, though, and all three of these work. So it just depends on which which problem you're solving, and which case and what do they need. So, using the graph now, let's find the distance between 4, -1, and 4, 5. How far is it from here to here? Well, easiest way is just to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 units. 6 boxes up. How far is it between -3, 2 and 1, 2? Well, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4 over. How do we find distance? Well, we just counted, but is there a way we can use the same process for the number line? How do I get 6 from these two right here? Now this is going straight up. If you look at this, -1 and 5, if I subtract those, -1 minus 5, that would give me -6. If I take the absolute value, that's going to give me 6. It's going to give me the distance. Same thing right here. Since it's only going straight over, let's look how far over it's going. We'll take the x values, -3 minus 1. Absolute value of that is going to get me absolute value of -4, which is, of course, just 4. So can I use the same process as I did with the number lines? Yes, I can. But you'll notice this only works if it's going straight up and down or straight sideways. What if it's not doing that? What if we're going at a diagonal? -2, 1, and 3, 5. 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. How do I find the distance if it's going on a diagonal? I can't just go straight across. I can't just go straight up and down. And that's what we're going to deal with in the next video.